Welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and those who have yet to make up their minds. I am your host, JustJack.com, and we welcome you to subscribe to our newsletter at our website, www.justjack.com. That's just Jack with two S's, because one just ain't enough. Now let's get on with the show, because I was watching... what is that movie? X-Men, The Days of Future Past. Have you guys ever seen that movie? It's the one where Wolverine, he has to go to the past to talk to the young Professor Xavier to basically save the future, right? And Professor X in the future, he even told him, Logan, I was much different back then. And so when we see young Professor Xavier in the 1970s, he's lost his schoolhouse, his students, his dream, his best friend, Magneto, his legs, his movement of his legs, right? And most of the X-Men are gone or scattered, and the world fears mutants, and Charles feels like all his work to build peace was for nothing. And that kind of collapse, emotionally, spiritually, socially, that would wreck anyone's sense of purpose, right? And of course, he's using booze to dull everything, to dull his mind, his emotions, his power, his pain, right? And it's not the drinking that made him lost. It's the loss that made him drink. Write that down, okay? And the alcohol is very symbolic of self-medication, right? The human attempt to quiet a divine gift that feels too heavy to carry. Right? It's his way of saying, I can't handle being who I am right now. And I get it. Many of us have been there. Hell, I still go there from time to time, And when Wolverine shows up, Wolverine shows up, right? And boom, the young Charles visits the older Charles, Professor X, his future self, right? And Professor X, his future self, didn't discipline him or yell at him or say, what the hell are you doing, drinking your life away? No. Professor X, his future self, was calm. And when young Charles was snarky and annoyed, saying, so this is what's become of us. And he would say things like, oh, you still believe in humanity? Professor X gives him that gentle reminder, and he says, just because someone stumbles and loses their way doesn't mean that they're lost forever. And when young Charles was overwhelmed, genuinely crying, right, and weeping for the people of the world, saying there's so much pain, Professor X calmly reminds him, and what's the quote? He said, I had it earlier. I should have wrote it down. It's not their pain you're afraid of. It's yours. And as frightening as it may be, that pain will make you stronger if you allow yourself to feel it and embrace it. It will make you more powerful than you ever imagined. It's the greatest gift we have, to bear their pain without breaking. And it's born from the most human power, hope. That's when Professor X reminds his younger self, please, Charles, we need you to hope again. And that line right there, we need you to hope again. Write that down. We need you to hope again. I swear the first time I heard it, I was in tears, because that's us, right? That's every one of us who's been through in our group, we talked about having the heart of a servant. We talked about the purification, the crucifixion, dying from the old self, right? The resurrection, rising up from the ashes. And now we stand at the edge of something new, not quite sure if we can trust the power that lives inside, right? See, walking in power and peace doesn't mean you're out here with the savior complex or pretending to be some superhero. It means respecting the power that you already embody, honoring it enough to let the logical part of your brain take a seat just for a minute, so your spirit, your soul, can finally lead without fear. This is the moment where leadership is born, right? Not from striving, not from hustling, not from surrendering. Actually, not from, but from surrendering, right? From surrendering, from letting the divine intelligence that breathes through you guide you. All from surrendering. I know some of you guys are logical thinkers, and you guys are already clutching your day planners, right? Like, excuse me, how am I supposed to build a business if I don't plan every detail? Jack, you just told us, write it down, make a plan. I know. I know. I love a good spreadsheet too, right? And I love a good plan, but hear me out. Logic has its place. It does. It organizes. It manages. Perfect. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Spirit, though. Spirit creates. And if you're always managing and never allowing, you'll end up controlling what was meant to be co-created. That's why tonight's message is called the embodiment, walking in power and peace, because resurrection raised you up, but embodiment keeps you there. This is where we stop talking about alignment and start walking in it. This is where you, the spiritual entrepreneur, step into the role of divine CEO, the kind who leads with both backbone and breath work. So before we go any deeper, let's all take a deep breath together. Go ahead and inhale. Pause. And exhale. And whisper to yourself, I am safe to walk in my power. That's it. That's peace. That's presence. That's the frequency of leadership, right? Today we're going to explore what it really means to embody that power, to let peace become your business partner and your guiding principle. We're going to learn how to lead without fear, how to trust your inner voice, and how to walk into a room so aligned that chaos bows before your calm, honey. And if you're ready to walk this path with a community that gets it, come join our free group, The Spiritual Entrepreneur. It's where we gather every week to grow, to get grounded, to glow together, right? All right. I post these videos in there every Sunday and Wednesday evening at 5 p.m. PST. All right. Y'all ready? Let's start with the difference between power and force, because understanding that is the first step to truly walking in peace. Okay? Write those words down. Power versus force. Force always pushes. Power simply is. Write that down. Force always pushes. Power simply is. You ever notice how sometimes we always say we're pushing, right? We're pushing towards our goals. We're pushing towards our business. Pushing towards a launch. Pushing for clarity. That's force. You're forcing it. Force drains you because it pushes from fear. That self-sabotaging voice inside that says, if I don't make this happen, I'm going to lose it. Right? I'm going to lose it. Fear of loss. Right? That's force. Power, on the other hand. Power flows from truth. Right? The inner self knowing that says, what's mine is already on the way. I just need to stay aligned in my power, aligned in my purpose, and aligned in my peace so it can gravitate towards me. Force demands control. Power allows cooperation. Right? Force tries to convince people. Power communicates clearly and trusts who's meant to hear it. Force builds walls. Power builds roots. So when you operate in force, everything feels heavy. You end the day tired, second guess yourself, feel like you have to keep proving yourself. But when you operate in power, there's peace in your posture, in your presence, even in the pressure. There's peace in the pressure. Things move through you instead of against you. A Course in Miracles says the very first sentence in the Course in Miracles, it says, nothing can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. That's one of the deepest teachings on this difference. Because when you're standing in truth, when you're anchored in what's real, you don't have to fight for your place anymore. You are the place, boo. You become the calm in the room that rearranges everything without even raising your voice. You don't even have to raise an eyebrow. As a spiritual entrepreneur, your work should feel like service, not survival. If your marketing feels desperate, if your sales feel forced, if your schedule feels suffocating, that's your cue. You're in force mode. Get out. Oops. I just broke something. But power, where was I at? Power. Power looks different, right? Power honors divine timing. Power speaks with confidence because it's rooted in authenticity. Power makes decisions from alignment, not from anxiety. So tonight, I want you to check yourself gently and ask yourself, where in my life or my business am I forcing? And where am I trying to control outcomes instead of allowing inspiration? And where am I pushing instead of flowing? You know, there's a power in pause. Write that down. The power pause is what it's called, right? Every time you catch yourself saying, oh, I need to figure this out. Stop. Stop. Take a deep breath. Put your hand over your heart and ask, what's the most peaceful next step I can take right now? And then, just one step, do that. Not the 10-step, 12-step program your mind is screaming about. No. Just the one peaceful next step. That's how power moves. One clear, precise, peaceful step at a time. We're not here to hustle harder. We're not. We're here to harmonize higher. And once you learn to operate in power, your entire business strategy becomes a blessing, not a curse. Okay, let's see. Now that we understand the energy behind power versus force, let's talk about the next layer. How to let logic rest so spirit can lead, because that's where embodiment really begins. Because let's be real, we love logic, okay? We love our planners, our spreadsheets, our systems. We love knowing what's coming next because it makes us feel safe. But the truth is, logic can only take you as far as your past experiences. Your soul, on the other hand, knows your potential. Logic calculates based on what's already happened, what's already been done. Your soul creates from what's possible. And sometimes to evolve, you have to let the logical part of you take a back seat. Not throw it out the car. Take a back seat. Just let it rest long enough for your soul to set the new direction. Okay? And here's the challenge. Your logic mind's job is to protect you. It's not the enemy. It's the bodyguard outside the gate, making sure that you don't get hurt again. But your soul is the architect who designed the entire castle, honey. So you can't build anything new if the guard keeps arguing with the architect, right? So if you've been feeling stuck or conflicted, waiting to move forward, wanting to move forward, but scared to let go of control, that's a sign you're overdue for a spiritual recalibration. And it's time to tell your logic, thank you. Thank you. The same thing we tell the ego, right? Thank you for keeping me safe. But this part belongs to my soul. A Course in Miracles says, the presence of fear is a sure sign that you are trusting in your own strength. When you make decisions in business, pricing, partnerships, launches, and you feel that tension in your chest, that tension, that's fear. That's fear whispering, what if I'm wrong? That's when you pause. Take a deep breath and ask out loud. Use your tongue, girl. The power's in the tongue. Say out loud, Spirit, show me what's true here. And here's the key. Don't rush the answer. Don't rush the answer, because peace will always confirm truth. If the answer doesn't bring peace, it's not your direction. Not yet. I remember one time, one of my very first product launches. Excuse me. One of my very first product launches, it was the very first course I ever created on my own. And I kept thinking, I'm going to launch this. Should I go now? Should I launch it now? Should I do it now? And I had the strategy, right? I had the content, but something inside me felt like I was forcing it. So instead of pushing through, I stopped. I paused. And I remember praying and saying, if this is of you, open the door. If it's me, close it. And I just waited. And 2 days later, I'm not kidding, 2 days later, I got a message from, one of the leaders I used to work with. She's not in the industry anymore. But one of the leaders I was working with at the time, she said, Jack, I want to pay you to teach a private course to my team. And that moment taught me something I'll never forget. When you stop forcing and start listening, life rushes in to meet you. Logic will build you a business. Spirit will build you a legacy. Let them work together, but let Spirit lead. We've looked at what power truly is. We learned how to let Spirit lead the way. Next, we're stepping into embodied leadership, right? How to live what you've learned and carry it into every room that you walk into. Because leadership isn't just about being the loudest voice in the room, right? It's about being the calmest presence. When you're walking in power and peace, people don't follow your words. They follow your energy. That's embodiment. It's not something you say you have. It's who you are. Something that you've become. It's what you do. You don't do leadership, right? You vibrate it. You vibrate it. You vibrate it. You raise it to a higher frequency. Every post you share, every client call you take, every email you send carries a frequency of who you are in that moment. If you're scattered, your business feels scattered. If you're grounded, your audience feels safe. Ask yourself daily, what frequency am I sending out through my work today? Because your energy is your brand long before your logo ever speaks. Power says, I'm here. And peace says, and I don't need to prove it. Together, they create presence. That's what people feel when you walk in a room or when your words hit their screen. The more you embody both, the less you need to explain yourself. I'm going to say it louder. The more you embody both, the less you need to explain yourself. You just are. And that quiet confidence will shift rooms faster than any marketing strategy ever could. A Course in Miracles says, to teach is to demonstrate. That means every time you show up with integrity, with humility, with peace, you're teaching. Not by lecture, but by example. Service is leadership in its purest form. You lead by how you love. You guide by how you give. You inspire by how you listen. So instead of asking, how can I get more followers? ask, how can I serve more truthfully today? Because every act of genuine service multiplies your influence in ways algorithms never could. All right, I have a few practical actions for embodied leadership because you know how I love practical. You don't have to do all of them. I just want to share them with you because they have helped me, especially in the past, especially these days, actually. One thing is your morning alignment check-in. That means before opening your laptop, before going on your cell phone, before going on social media, close your eyes. Take a deep breath and ask, who do I need to be before I start doing? Who do I need to be before I start doing? And sit with it. Sit in the quiet for a little bit. Another thing you can do is journal. Well, I vlog at the end of the day because I speak faster than I can write. And you can end each day by writing down or speaking one decision you made from peace instead of pressure. Write down just one. What's one decision you made today from peace instead of pressure? And over time, you'll notice a pattern. And you'll notice your peace always led you in the right direction. Lord knows mine did. Another thing you can practice are embodied boundaries. This is where you say no quicker, right? When you honor your limits. Because when you honor your limits, you model your power. And when you keep your peace, you model maturity. So I know that saying yes is life-changing, but saying no is powerful. And remember, no is a complete sentence. And one more thing is spirit-led strategy. Write that down. Spirit-led strategy. This is when you schedule your spiritual practice into your business calendar, like a meeting with your boss or with your CEO, because it is. And so schedule your spiritual practice into your busy day. You don't have to chase leadership, right? You are leadership. When your heart, your words, and your work move in harmony, that's leadership. So breathe. Stand tall. Remember, you're not running a business. You're stewarding a mission. And the more you embody that truth, the more heaven has room to work through you. All right, that's my spiel for today. My name is justjack.com, and we welcome you to join our free group where we upload videos like this every Sunday and Wednesday evening at 5 p.m. PST. I'll go ahead and share the link in the video description wherever this video is uploaded. And as Dolly says, I hope you got a blessing. And if you do, feel free to share it. All right, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys in the group. Lots of love. Peace out. Bye, Felicia.